So Kevin, when did you first see Jaws?
You know, it's a funny story. I was around the age of 3, and see, I was born the same year the film came out in 1975, so obviously I did not see it in the theater.
Right.
Although I was in my mom's tummy, and she refused to go see it, so my dad had to go see it for us, basically.
Right.
But anyway, there was they, of course, would bring films back sometimes, and drive-ins were infamous for that. And of course, God, I missed the drive-in so bad.
Yes.
And that could be its own episode as well. But there was a double feature, and Jaws was the second feature of the night. So my parents went thinking that, oh, he'll be awake for the first movie.
Right.
He'll fall asleep through Jaws, no problem, everything's good. So I'm sitting in the back seat, and I believe at that time we had our Chrysler Cordoba. And so Mom and Dad are sitting in front, I'm in the back. They think I'm asleep. Well, what happened was I fell asleep through the first movie and woke up in time for Jaws. So I'm sitting back there, you know, watching this great movie. It terrified me, but at the same time I was riveted by it. And so as a kid, you know, my first real passion was that movie. And even before Star Wars, I had rubber sharks. I had a pillow that was in the shape of a shark that was about as long as I was tall. I had shark t-shirts. And you know, Brody was like my first real hero, you know, until of course, you know, Han Solo and Luke Skywalker took that mantle. But it's one of those movies that's been with me for forever, and you know, for me, it's just one of those funny moments that, you know, again, I was supposed to be asleep through it. The fates made it so that I did not, and my passion for the film was born. It is truly the first memory I have of watching a movie. And so that to me is very, very special.
Yeah, and I mean, it's inspired you to become an actor also.
Yes, it really was what inspired me to get involved with theater, and I've also done short film projects and stuff too. So yeah, it really has had an inspiration on so many levels of my life. As a film fan, just in general as a kid growing up in the 70s and 80s, as an actor, as, you know, a budding screenwriter, I guess you could say. And you know, just in general as a film critic as well, it's one of those movies that has been just a huge part of my life. Now for you, probably have the most dubious honor of seeing the film in the way that you saw it of anyone I know.
Okay, before we get started on this, let me just preface this by saying, I mean, I've loved film for a while, but I never really became a film fanatic until later on in life. And when I did that, there were certain holes in my in my film. But I knew to kind of preface this, I know where you're going with this. But when I heard that they were doing Jaws Fest, where they were going to celebrate the anniversary,
yes, the 30th anniversary,
of the film, I knew you had to go. So I said, Kevin, I got to get you there. And Kevin insisted that I go with him, and I'm glad you did, because we've made friends that, you know, we have to this day.
Oh,
wonderful
absolutely.
people.
Absolutely.
But the thing about it was, we had this wonderful weekend, and we got to just bask in the glory of this film. And as we're driving home, I felt like I needed to make a confession. And I hadn't seen the film. I hadn't seen Jaws at all.
I about damn near wrecked the car on the ride. I literally, it was one of those moments where I believe my expression was, "What?"
Yeah, I think that was pretty much close to it. But the thing about it was, I had to pretend this entire weekend that I had seen the film.
Yeah, because not only was he around a bunch of Jaws fans like myself, people from around the world, okay, for that matter, but he gets interviewed.
Oh,
and who did you get interviewed by, Brian?
Well, we were at a VIP party, and there was a gentleman there from BBC Radio.
You son of a!
He pulls me over. He pulls me to the side, and he introduces himself, and he says, "I want to interview you about Jaws." Now, I know you would have loved to have done it. I would have loved you to have done it, but at this point, I was in a panic because I don't know anything about this film. And I had to. You think Chrissy had a hard time, you know, in her having to swim? I'm up to my neck, and I'm having to. I got through it. I did, unfortunately.
And then I swear I thought Greg Nicotero was going to punch you in the face.
Oh my God.
About 4 or 5 years later, he made that confession to Greg, and I really thought he was going to punch
But you know, the good thing was that they gave us a copy of the film, you know, as part of the package of, you know, going to Jaws Fest. So I did finally get to see it.
You finally got to see it and appreciate it.
And appreciate it.
So what's your favorite movie, and what was like your first time seeing it? You can even let us know what it was like the first time you saw Jaws. Was it in a theater? Was it at the drive-in? Was it way after it had come out? let us know what your thought was. Also, whatever your favorite movie is, again, let us know your thoughts on what it was like to see it for the first time and the impact that it had on you. Again, that's what this is all about. Let's just continue to have fun with the discussions. And again, thanks for joining us for this Real Deal Short Take. Can't believe you never.